afternoon, or good evening. Welcome to the Bronx Queens Bros podcast, better known as the BQB podcast. This is episode number 30. I am one of your hosts, Big V. We got another one as Big D, and another one as Jack B. Dave, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. 30th episode. It's very exciting, fellas. Good for us. We are recording in the middle of a thunderstorm, so hopefully there's not too much thunder going on in the background, but I'm notorious for having a lot of background noise going on. Not great if you're going to start a podcast, but I'll figure it out one day. But I'm excited. Let's do it. Jack, how you doing?
Guys, I'm doing great. Excited for our 30th episode. And man, some unfortunate games gone on this weekend, V. The Mets, they continue to invent ways to lose. I cannot believe it. The Yanks somehow take 2 out of 3 from one of the best teams in the league. Super excited to talk about that. But first, guys, a message from our sponsor. Take it away, V.
This episode is sponsored by one of the best kept secrets in northern New Jersey, Engineering and Design Concepts, a small company doing big things. Specialized in product development, manufacturing, and test equipment. If you or anyone you know need assistance in that field, they are the company you need to contact. The link to their website will be in the description below. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a week. It's been a week. You guys probably miss us. We know your favorite bros in the world. Bronx, Queens, we're in Jersey, New York. You could be listening to us in Canada or in, Dubai. And I know you guys miss us, but we're back. We're back. Big V was on the sideline there. He hit the IL for a little bit. And, it was a little mishmash of stuff going on. But this is what the Mets have been doing nonstop.
Some bullshit.
They're just that bad. The Mets lose against the Astros and lose against the Phillies. Both had a 3-game series. Mets started out pretty confidently against the Astros. They won 11-1. Max Scherzer looked good. You come out the next game. Verlander didn't pitch amazing, but the Mets got shut out by Valdez. Astros had some good defense in that game. That was a well-played game that the Mets lost, and I wasn't mad at that moment. Then you go to the Wednesday game, and Mets lost 10-8. Mets score 8 runs and lose because they allowed 10. You just hate to see it. So much bad pitching. I'm breezing through these guys because I'm going to break down some more afterwards. You get to the Mets-Phillies. Mets lose game 1. So I paid Apple TV Plus, right? $7. I paid because I got nothing better to do on a Friday night than watch the Mets. Couldn't watch anywhere else, so I paid for Apple TV Plus. I paid $7 for them to play the way they did. Nimmo dropping the ball. Tommy Pham and Lindor miscommunicating on a ball. Shit that shouldn't happen at the big league level. Just like an embarrassment. I would make these catches in my sleep, I think. Like, this is so bad. They drop it. They don't catch it. Mets lose that game. Saturday comes around. The Mets win a nice game. Scherzer pitched really well. Robertson picked up I believe it was a 5-out save. Mets won 4-2. It was good. Scherzer looked good. Scherzer wanted to pitch to 6th. Even he was around 92 pitches. He fought to pitch, and he pitched well. And then Sunday. Oh, my. Mets had the lead. Mets are up 6-3. It's the 8th inning. And I don't know what they're deciding to do by, they're letting Jordan Walker, I think his name is. I don't know what it is. The lefty that just got called up. I don't know what his name is. He didn't. It was a walk and a hit and then a walk, and then Brigham comes in and then yes, he got the ground ball after he hit somebody with the bases loaded. Beatty makes the error, no outs. But then he hits another guy. Then he strikes out a guy, and then he walks a guy, and then another pitching change. Biggest problem here is why isn't Robertson up again? This is a must-win game. This isn't trying to win the season. This isn't trying to save an arm. This is a must-win game. Where is Robertson? Ottavino and Raley apparently weren't available, which was weird to hear because apparently Ottavino says after the game that he was available. So why the fuck isn't he pitching? Like, I don't fucking understand what Buck's doing here. Who analytical department this or that. Don't know what's going on here. Just really, really bad baseball is being played in New York. Just horrendous. Bad pitching. But the hitting is actually pretty good. I can't get mad at the offense right now. Lindor's looking better. Alonso's finally seeming like he's coming out of like his little funk 2-3 games off the IL. Pham is still hitting. McNeil's not really hitting great, but like the offense is still producing a lot of runs. The Mets this year, when scoring 7 or more or 6 or more runs, are 13-12. They're one game over 500. That means in all those games, pitchers have allowed more than that. Like, why is this pitching so bad? Why? So much money is thrown at this pitching, and they're pitching horrendously. It's an embarrassment. This team is just so bad to watch. Like, I don't even... And they're calling up David Peterson on Tuesday, who's got an 8 ERA and like a 6 ERA in AAA. Call up somebody else. Call up a single A pitcher. Like, what are you doing? You're just kicking games out the door. They're 7 games under 500. The Phillies last year at one point were 7 games under 500, and they went on a run. I'm not saying the season's done, but it's getting pretty fucking close.
V, what did the Phillies do, though?
They fired their manager. We're going to get to that in a minute. They went on a run. I'm not saying the Phillies firing their manager made them go on the run.
Obviously not.
But...
Little spark?
Little spark, yes. But I don't understand how you don't... Right now, every game is must win. There's not one game that... If you have a game where you have a lead, it's must win. You do everything that day to win, and you say, we'll deal with tomorrow's consequences. Right now, Buck's not managing to win today's game. He's trying to manage to win the season, and the season is quickly slipping through the fingers of the Mets right now. That's all I gotta say.
V, I don't really know where to start here, and we didn't even recognize we're so worried about the Mets and the atrocity that they are, that I'm in a Mets hat today because I lost the challenge back last week, and I never got a chance to wear it on Thursday because of the IL stint from V, so I'm wearing it today. And I do feel bad for my Mets fans. And V, I don't know where to start because... And I thought this game was such an important game for the Mets. I'm talking about Sunday's game. You know, they hadn't won a series in all of June, which is crazy to even think about. They still have not won a series in all of June. It's almost like this game would have been like 2 wins for the Mets, right? You go into Philadelphia, you beat them, you win the series, you get some momentum going back home, and they fall flat on their face. And one of the things that Buck has done really well, in my opinion, since he's been the coach of the Mets, is bringing his best relievers in, not always in the 9th inning, not always saving your best reliever for the 9th, but putting them in situationally when the highest leverage situations are, or when the best hitters are coming up. But he abandoned that strategy, and, you know, you could say what you want about the strategy. I think it's mostly worked for you guys, especially, you know, last year putting Edwin in, getting 5 out saves sometimes. You know, I thought what Buck did last year was great. But seemingly abandoning that strategy completely confused me. I thought it would be a perfect situation to put in David Robertson, and you don't do it. You put in the righty, I forget his name, and then, you know, he hits 2 guys to get the double play ball, but just really tough to see there. And then to hear Buck after the game say Ottavino wasn't available, and then Ottavino saying he was available, like you said, V, makes me really scratch my head. Like, does Buck, you know, is he losing the locker room? Like, what is going on? How can we be that off? Like, how do we not know who's available, who's not available? Is that just a miscommunication? Is that, like, what is going on there?
Yeah.
And then, go ahead, V.
No, because Ottavino is the second most reliable arm in that bullpen, probably.
Yeah. Second or third?
Yeah, because Rayleigh right now is fucking nasty. Ever since he came back from the IL, in May, he's been awesome. Like, just really, really good. Behind him, and he wasn't available, and that's fine, whatever. If Ottavino is available, that is your 8th inning guy.
Right.
I don't care that it's a 3-run lead. He needs to come in to start that inning.
Right.
I don't understand.
Yeah, V, and you know what else really confused me is we kind of assumed that McGill, if he had another bad start, he would be sent down, right? And then, you know, Joey Lucchesi, he's in AAA right now, V.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he would make sense to call up, but you can't call him up because I think he's pitching today, right? They completely screwed up the pitching rotation, which is some sort of organizational failure, whether that's Epler or, I don't know whose fault exactly that is. But it just seems like nothing right now is going right for the Mets, and they needed so desperately to get things right. You thought maybe it was the Yankee series, maybe it would be in Philadelphia, but I guess now you're just hoping it's at home against Milwaukee. But I mean, V, we're talking about 8 games back, I believe, of the wild card. 7 games under 500. I mean, and I know I say it a lot, but the highest payroll in baseball history. In baseball history. It's just a complete failure from the Mets right now.
Yeah, I'm not arguing. It is a disaster in Queens right now. It's horrific to watch. I'm going to comment again about the pitching. Like, Joey Lucchesi's been pitching very, very well for AAA. And I got to say, out of the Peterson and Lucchesi, Lucchesi's had a little more success at the big leagues this year than Peterson. Only thing that can maybe make sense is if there's a trade on the horizon for Peterson.
Right.
I don't know who or what he's getting from him. Maybe like the A's or something want him. I don't know. But unless that's on the table and you're like, all right, maybe if he comes up to the bigs and has 2 good starts, could help. What's going to hurt his 8 ERA anyways? Like, maybe that's, or maybe Lucchesi has some traction in the trade market right now. So they're like, all right, let him just keep dominating AAA and we'll use him in a package deal for somebody. I don't know. Unless that's the case, the only reason I'll allow this, because this is an idiotic decision between picking Lucchesi and not Peterson. I would pick Mike Vassell over any of those 2 guys who's, I think, just got called up to AAA. He's been pitching in AA very, very well. And I breezed over this. Eduardo Escobar did get traded Friday night? I think it was Friday night. Friday night to the Angels. And the Mets got Coleman Crow and Landon. It's a tough last name, Mr. Landon Marcoux. I hope to get you on the show so you can tell me how to say your name. But Coleman Crow was actually a very, very nice prospect. Very promising, good-looking right-hander. So I'm actually not mad at that trade because Escobar wasn't playing anymore anyways. And it seems like Coleman Crow seems to be like a very legitimate prospect. So, yeah. I mean, Mets picked up like his $5 million left on the year, which, to get that prospect, like, so be it. You got to, and they got another arm, and the Mets need pitching in the minors anyways for years to come. So that was good to see. But I mean, you got to wonder, and who's next? Is someone else next? I don't. It seemed like Escobar was an extra player. But then calling up Danny Mendick was a little bit of a shock. I mean, I'm okay with Mendick. I think Mendick's a very solid player. He's a better player than Luis Guillorme, but they have both Guillorme and Mendick in this bench. And they're the same player, and I think Mendick's a better version of him. Why isn't Mauricio Vientos up? But I don't know. But yeah, I'm really questioning a lot of moves on the Mets end right now.
Yeah, V, and we went back and forth about your Mets panic button. Remember I was telling you about this last couple of episodes. Where are we now? Let's go 1 to 10. If 10 is, the season's just about over, and 1 is we'll be fine. Where are we on 1 to 10? I think last 2 times you might have said 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. We're gonna bump it up a little bit here. We're bumping it up to a 7. as we are 7 games under 500. So I will bump it to a 7. I think a 7 is, this is my answer, is the Mets are about another 2 weeks of losing baseball away from losing the season. I think. I think if they lose the series here against the Brewers, lose the series against the Giants, lose the next, if they lose the next 4 out of the next 6 series, season's done. It's done. You're going into the All-Star break, 10, 11 games under 500. You're done. You're going to sell as many players as you can, try to rebuild for next year. You're going to have a solid core for next year. You got to somehow get pitching for next year, but you have a chance. So because they're getting close to that point, I'm going to have it at a 7.
All right. Well, if it was me, I think I'd be at a 9, V. I think the Mets season is just about over. I really do. The more and more I think about it, I mean, the Mets are closer to the Rockies than they are the top teams in the NL, right? I mean, it's just the truth of the matter. Teams like the Marlins are 11 games over 500. It's shocking stuff what's going on right now in baseball. Not to mention Cincinnati just went on a 12-game winning streak. Giants have looked good. Arizona's been a big surprise this year. There's plenty of teams that are, far and away outperforming these Mets, and I don't see. There's nothing I could put my finger on being like that. That's something that can carry over, right? Or that's something to look forward to. That's something that's giving me optimism for the future. I'm not seeing anything. I don't think they are capable of getting hot. I just don't. I don't see it.
It's hard to see it. I think I'm gonna be the glimmer of hope in this podcast as the only Mets fan here. So it's my job, because also if I say they really are done and then they somehow come back, I don't want to say I was on record. I'd rather say I was on record saying there was a glimmer of hope. Listen, I mentioned it. Phillies were 7 under last year at this point, and they went on a run. It's not out of the question that they go on a run, but it literally has to start now. But the offense needs to keep at least doing what it's doing right now and maybe tick it up a little bit. But the pitching needs to step up beyond belief. But I'm going to really say this, and we can move on, is that the bullpen needs to get help badly. Very, very badly. It's just so bad. You got 2-3 arms that are reliable. Besides that, it's done. You got to get somebody.
Let me pose you a situation. So let's say you're 5 games under by the All-Star break, right?
Okay.
Or by the trade deadline. You're 5 games under 500. Let's say you're 6 games out of the wild card. Do you buy or do you sell? So basically where you are right now, a little bit better. What do you do?
I feel like you have to buy. You're in New York. You spent all this. But no, it's because they spent all this money. I think because they spent all this money, you're almost inclined to just go for it. All that money was thrown at this team. Screw it. I'm going to try.
Yeah, but it's just risky because then you're possibly risking future teams down the line with these prospects, right? It's tough. It's a tough scenario.
It is a tough scenario, and I hope they get to maybe 500 by the trade deadline, and then you're like, all right, we're at 500. We just got to stay real hot going in.
Yeah,
that's my hope.
To me, maybe a little shakeup, not a direct buy or sell move, but maybe you could trade McNeil for a nice closer or reliever. Because McNeil's really giving you nothing, and he is definitely versatile. I think teams would value him. Maybe some.
I think so too, but with a new contract extension, I'd be shocked They gave him a contract extension right before the season started.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Okay. All right, let's move on. Let's get into the Yanks. So the Yanks, they took 2 out of 3 from Seattle. Very nice to see there. We got some great pitching performances until Domingo Germán took them out again and let up 10 runs. Or the Yankees let up 10 runs. He got shelled for like 7 or 8. Yeah, not great from Domingo. Seems like his beautiful start to the season was a fluke. I don't know if it was sticky substances or what was exactly going on. But not great there from Domingo. Seems like his starting rotation days are probably going to come to an end as soon as Carlos Rodon comes back, who's had 2 rehab starts. They're going to try to get him a third, get him pitching for the 4th of July series, and he's looked great, apparently. By all accounts, his numbers were good, but by Somerset Patriot beat reporters, he's looked great. Stuff's been great. He's been striking out a lot of guys, so that's great to see. Then I was super worried about the series guys because this is the best offensive team in baseball. We're talking about the Rangers that came into town to play the Yanks. And I was worried because the Yankees have not been scoring any runs. Although their pitching has been good, they haven't been scoring. But the Yankees did the unthinkable. They did lose game 1 of the series, but in game 2 and 3 of the series, they hold the Rangers to just 3 runs total, winning both games. Game on Saturday, 1-0. The game on Sunday, 5-3. I never would have thought the Yankees pitching would have held Texas in check. Garrett Cole didn't have it at all. And he ends up, the Yankees end up on top, winning the game 5-3 on Sunday. They picked up Garrett, and you'll love to see it. I think it's really indicative of this team, how we're kind of just finding ways to win, although the offense hasn't been great. Pitching has really stepped up. And I think it's almost the difference between the two teams, and I hate to keep bringing back the Mets, V. The difference of the two teams is like right in the margins. I think it's pretty slim, especially without Judge. But the Yankees almost have this relentlessness and this will to win that I seem is kind of lacking from the Mets, at least with the pitching, right? They execute in big moments. The pitchers, they're very calculated in the pitches they call. I give a lot of credit to the Yankees catchers. I think they call a great game. The little things that have been, pretty good for the Yanks. The defense has been really good. And around the margins, I think that goes a long way, especially without Aaron Judge. We've seen how bad the offense is. So I think that's really important.
Yeah. I mean, the Yankees, listen, while I was on the IL there for a little bit, I got to watch a little bit of the Yankees too. And former Yankee, former Met, current Yankee, McKinney, he's lighting the world on fire. I mean, but that's like a fun, he seems like a guy who's just dying for a little spotlight. And now that he's got it, it's like he's running with it. And good for him. The Yankees really need it. And then Bowers. I don't want to let Bowers. Today I posted on the socials, follow us on the socials, guys. Posted a little clip of them hitting home runs together. I mean, these guys are they're nice little players. Listen, now they're not Judge, they're not Stantons of the world, but they're fun to watch. They play good ball. They're hard-nosed players.
Yeah. And
right now, they're actually kind of carrying the offense.
Yeah, they are.
Which I don't think anyone had in their bingo card to start the season.
No. So the thing that's funny about the Yankees right now is a lot of their problems that resided last week and the week before that we talked about, how they're not scoring, their best hitters aren't hitting. Those problems are still apparent. Like Giancarlo Stanton finally did get a hit, but he's been really bad. Donaldson didn't play the entire series. We could talk about that a little bit more if you guys want to get into that, the whole fiasco with Donaldson and Boone and whatever the hell happened there. LeMahieu looked good the other day, but he, I think he was off on Saturday, so he hasn't been great. Volpe's been better, but still not great. Bader finally got some hits, but, the main guys that you expect to be good. Rizzo still really struggling. He had a 3-hit game a couple of games ago, but still has not been great. So the guys that you would expect to be carrying this offense aren't. It's been McKinney and Bowers, and, in situations like that, you got to tip your hat to Brian Cashman, say, nice moves, I guess, and hopefully some more moves to come for the Yanks. And Yeah, I mean, that's really it. That's all I got. Um, I'm glad we're staying afloat here without Aaron Judge. And the big news, V, really, that kind of got overshadowed by all the Mets' terrible play was that Aaron Judge confirmed has a torn ligament in his toe, and he will be out indefinitely. So, some reports are saying that could mean, September. Some are saying at least until the All-Star break. It's seeming like he's going to miss at least the next couple months. So, tough to see. Just hoping to get him back.
Yeah, that hurts. That hurts. You hate to see the, reigning MVP get out. Not only MVP of the league, literally the MVP of the Yankees. Like, the Yankees live and die by this guy. Hopefully he gets back sooner rather than later. If I was me, I would just chop the toe off. I think he'll be fine. But, hopefully he heals up quickly.
He could take my toe.
That Judge situation is one of those things where you watch that play and you're so pumped when it happens, that catch he made, and then you're like, kind of wish he didn't make that catch, kind of wish he played it off the wall or something, but he's a baller, so he went all out, and unfortunately, we talked about it in his first little injury stint earlier. It's just kind of a fluke play that got him, and this one got him pretty good, so, hopefully speedy recovery, because we need him.
Yep.
But that being said,
that's baseball, Susan.
That's baseball. That's a great recap, very extensive recap. V, you're not allowed to go on the IL anymore because it requires you guys to work twice as hard the following episode. So stay healthy out there for us, would you? With that being said, let's thank you. Let's get back into our segments for the first time in a week. And we're going to start with the hot stove. Very curious to see this one because can't even think of someone, but I know V's got something for us.
Some Yankees make the list finally, V? Come on.
I got a Yankee. Welcome to Vuitton's Hot Stove. Ladies and gentlemen, when you make the hot stove, it's because you're amazing, you're on fire, you're playing well, you're winning games. So it ain't anybody on the Mets, guys. We got a Yankee today, guys. And it's the name of Clay Holmes, bullpen closer guy. I don't know. I can't say he's the official closer of the Yankees because the Yankees do some weird, everybody kind of closes out situations here. But I think he should be the closer because this guy is absolutely disgusting. I mean, this guy's been just putting up zeros. Zeros, more zeros, more zeros. Wait, one run, zeros and more zeros, and more zeros, and a lot of strikeouts. Clay Holmes has been just pitching outstanding. Outstanding. Let me quickly add this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 out of his last 11 innings, 1 earned run allowed. I mean, this guy is just nails against good teams. Mariners, Dodgers, White Sox, Mets, Mariners, Rangers. They're mostly good teams. I mean, he's pitching really, really well. It's amazing. But I have a hot take. I have a hot take here, guys. And it's for the Yankees. Actually, it's on the guy that's no longer on the Yankees. Mr. Aaron Hicks is going to make it to Seattle.
Dude, he actually might. It's crazy.
He's batting over 320 games. Bunch of home runs.
Yeah.
I was on Twitter. I was going crazy.
Did you say you would buy the jersey?
I said I'll buy the jersey. I didn't think I'd be wearing an Orioles one, but you know what? If the Mets fall out of contention, I was rooting for Baltimore from the beginning to do well because I said it. I think I would root for Baltimore if the Mets fall out of contention from now on. They're going to become my American League team. I know I should just root for the Yankees because we have this podcast. That's no fun. So I got to root against you guys in some fashion. So I think if the Mets fall out of contention, I will become an Orioles fan for the season.
V, real quick, to bring it back to a more serious topic, Clay Holmes, great pick for the hot stove. Yeah. You kind of
Thank you.
You shrugged off that Mets performance, but honestly, Jack, I don't know if you agree, but that was Clay Holmes, and that's what made me almost feel like he's at his first half of last season's self, right? So I think that was actually probably the biggest performance in all those games you listed, V. But I'm just curious to see, over how long this will continue, or if Clay Holmes is just maybe a streaky player who's really on, or not so on. So let's see. He's definitely shown a lot of positivity lately, and the Yankees bullpen as a whole, I think, is worth mentioning.
Absolutely. I think it's time for the jack-off, and there's a lot of candidates for the jack-off this week just because of how bad the Mets played, but I think I got a curveball for you guys. So this guy had a lot to say last season when the Mets won 101 games. He's often on Twitter, tweeting away, throwing his money at a bunch of problems. Steve Cohen, you are a member of the Jack-Off today. Steve Cohen, I have not heard a lot from you lately, which is crazy because last year it seemed like it was almost once a week when I would hear just how good the Mets were, him about, tweeting about getting this player and how much money he has to spend and how he's great for baseball. I do agree, he is great for baseball. But not a lot from Steve lately, V. I don't know what's going on. Maybe he's on the IL as well? I don't know.
I'm going to actually have my guys call his guys, and I'll get back to you.
Okay. So Steve, he kind of pitted himself as this George Steinbrenner type, right? This guy that was fiery. He's going to bring the Mets a championship in 5 years or less. He owed it to the city, and he's a Mets fan, and, all this stuff. Hey, Steve, where have you been, buddy? I haven't heard any leadership from him. I haven't heard any, critiques of this team. I haven't heard any meetings that he's had with the front office. It seems like for the most expensive roster in baseball history, this roster is not even, I would say, top 10 roster in the big leagues. I don't think that's, a crazy thing to say. So I think there's questions to be had about the GM. And then some of the quotes that your coach is giving out of late, not to mention his decisions late in games, are just asinine. They're completely asinine. Saying how he's proud of the Mets after they get swept in Atlanta because they had a lead in some of the games. Saying how Adam Ottavino is not available, and then Ottavino saying he is available. Saying how, we need to be better, not really saying. He basically said at the end of the Phillies game that, I put the team in the best chance to win and we didn't win. And he kind of just threw his hands up. I mean, what type of quotes are these from Buck Showalter, and with seemingly no accountability from the top? Seems a little odd, V. And for a guy that had a lot to say when the Mets were doing good, and this is the one thing I said to you, expectations, V. They change everything. And I said that at the beginning of the season. Although I did predict the Mets to have a good year, I did say expectations change everything. And with the highest payroll in baseball history comes a lot of expectations. Moving on from a franchise guy like Jacob deGrom for a new pitcher and Justin Verlander brings a lot of expectations. And the Mets are floundering right now. And I've heard nothing from their leader, Steve Cohen. Nothing, babe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that you haven't heard much. Listen, I understand why you're giving him the jack off, but I gotta say, I don't know if, if Cohen is the one to fire Buck. I don't think it's him. I feel like it would be Epler. And you can't fire Epler 3 weeks before a deadline.
I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I agree with that.
So this only way I would phrase this is that Epler brought in Buck as his guy.
Right.
So imagine you're Billy Epler, GM of a team, and the owner is like, no, go fuck your manager mid-season. I don't care that you don't want to fire him. I'm firing him. And I'm going to bring in a different guy. Or we're going to give Eric Chavez the throne.
Okay.
Or we're going to bring Carlos Beltran in.
Okay.
I don't think that is a good business. I'm not saying it's the wrong choice. Maybe it is the right decision. I don't think it's a good business thing to do if he kind of overrides that as his choice.
Okay. All right. And what I would say to that is, I don't want to hear from Mets fans how basically he gets all the credit when they were doing well and when they were succeeding last year, won 101 games about all the genius moves he made, and then him not getting any of the blame when they're having a terrible year this year. I feel like I think he's more hands-on than most owners, I would say.
I agree. I mean, I won't disagree to that, and I think there is someone has to get fired. I don't know if it's Buck. Fire the hitting coach. Fire the pitching coach. There's got to be something happening. So, like, people are like, maybe get on your toes, Buck. Like, hey, Buck, we're firing both the hitting coach and pitching coach. So, if you don't fucking start hurrying up, everyone's going to lose their jobs. You're going to lose your jobs, and we're bringing all new personnel. And we don't really care how the rest of the season goes, but at least you're gone. Like, get them a little scared. Make them play with maybe some fear. Don't play with lollygagging, soft belly, soft hands. Play with fight. Because they're not playing with fight right now. Like, I agree, Jack. Yeah. Listen, I'm going to say I still think Buck is a solid manager, but not right now. Last year, fantastic manager, but everyone was playing amazing. Like, you were getting career years, if not career average years, from 1 through 20 through 30 players on your roster. And everybody was kind of healthy. Bassett, Walker, Carrasco, guys were coming in, Peterson, McGill. These guys were playing great. Lindor, Alonso, McNeil having career years. Nimmo, Marte, even Canna.
McNeil.
Like, incredible years. They're not getting that performance anymore. And now Buck maybe doesn't make the right decision, and it doesn't have that big offense or the big pitching performance now coming somewhere. And it's like, oh shit, I don't know what to do now because now I got to pick some random AAA guy to play in this spot, and they're going to make me look like shit. Now, yes, you got to be a really, really good manager now with a subpar team the way it's playing, and he's not. Maybe he's a really good manager for a very good team. I'm not making excuses, but there's a lot of blame on the players, and a lot of blame some blame should be thrown on the management and coaching staff and GM and all that. So that's all I guess.
So, do you agree with Jack?
I would say yes, but
see, I'm not using Steve as a scapegoat for all the issues. I'm just saying, the guy was one of the most vocal supporters of the team. Obviously, he's the owner. He's a fan of the team last year when they were doing well, right? And I said, this spending money is going to cause some things to change. Expectations breed, pressure, and things are going to change. And now this year, I haven't heard from this guy in about 3 weeks. Anything. Not a quote, not an interview, not a tweet. I've heard nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't when the team sucks. But you'd like to have seen a tweet, something along like, wow, this is hard to watch. We really got to change something.
Yeah, or even last year when you guys went on that little skid, remember it was like reported that he went and had like a meeting with the player. Just like, I've heard nothing. It's like he's hiding. Like, I don't know. It's just a bad look to me.
Yeah. I mean, we also don't know exactly what's really going on, but I agree.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Let's move right along. Hopefully, spread some optimism with my segment here, especially from Jack trying to get out of that Mets hat. Although I'm not sure V wants to wear a Mets hat nowadays either. So it's time for Big D's Big Odds. We got 5 lines prepared for this episode. It is part 1 of our weekly challenge. It all starts today, fellas. Jack, you are in the hat of the opposing team, so you're going to start first with the Mets line. So, in the first series against the Brewers, Pete Alonso had 2 home runs, but those were his only 2 hits and 12 at-bats. They now have a 4-game series coming up against the Brewers, so keep that in mind when I ask you this line for his performance in the series. I'm going to go Pete Alonso hits 3.5.
I'm going to go over here, V. I think Pete's got a rise to the occasion here, and I think he will. I think he will.
Yeah, I mean, Alonso, in my opinion, is actually a pretty clutch player. Like, this guy in late innings has a higher OPS than any other player, I think. Like, he's a very clutch player, and I think he's going to put a little more pressure on his shoulders. He looked better against the Phillies in this series. He had an opposite field home run against Alvarado, who's having an amazing year for the Phillies. So I think he stays hot against the Brewers. Easy over for me here.
All right, now this one might be a little wishful thinking for me, but the last time I did this line, it ended up becoming true, and you guys both predicted it. Giancarlo Stanton. His last home run came against yours truly, V, on June 13th against the Mets. So I'm going to set an over-under line. He is playing, the Yanks got a 3-game series against the A's, right, Jack? They're playing the A's. Is it
That's
in
right.
Oakland?
Yep.
Okay. 3-game series in Oakland. V, over-under Giancarlo Stanton home runs, 0.5.
I'm going to take the over. It's the A's. If he doesn't do it here, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'm going to go over here too, V. I hate to agree with you so much, but I mean, Stan's you would think he's got to get hot at some point. I think this stretch he's been on, probably his worst stretch as a Yankee. Probably, if I had just thinking back off the top of my head, maybe it's not statistically, but probably the worst he's looked in my eyes. So thinking he's got to get right eventually.
Yeah.
Very good. V, my next line is about Daniel Vogelback, who, not being someone who pays much attention to the Mets, numbers don't look terrible, but I also agree with you guys, they're not quite DH numbers. But in his last 7 days, he has hit in 294, has a home run and 6 ribbies. So maybe that mental break was helping him a little bit. I don't know. Maybe he needs another one. We'll see. 4-game series coming up against the Brewers, Jack. I'm going to set an over-under on Vogelback RBIs, 1.5.
Go back RBIs, man. V, is he even in the lineup today?
He is. He is batting 5th.
See, and then they keep dropping Alvarez. I think he's 8th today, no? He's at the bottom.
He's in a slump.
I know that, but I mean, put some confidence in the kid. I don't know.
I agree. But he has looked a little overmatched lately.
Yeah, I've seen. Dave, man, I don't know. I'm just gonna go under. I don't know. I'm just gonna go under.
I was
Be in a
gonna
tough
go.
spot.
I was gonna go under too, but I hate agreeing with Jack, so I'm gonna go over. Come on, Danny Burgers. If he gets traded, can we void this? If he gets traded after game 1, can we void
Mid-series,
this?
yeah, sure.
No, I think the under hits at that point. That's a factor. You got to consider.
God,
True.
maybe he'll run into a 2-run bloop single.
You never know.
Never know.
All right. Speaking of someone who's been hot, actually hot, we talked about him, Mr. McKinney. In his last 7 games, he has 6 hits. 6 hits in his last 7 games. So I'm going to set an over-under of hits in this series against the A's for Billy McKinney at 1.5.
That is an easy over for me.
Sound a little hesitant for an easy over.
I was about to burp, and I didn't want to do it out loud, so I kind of had to put it back in. All right, that's all right. You were saying, Jack?
I'm gonna go with under, and not because I think Billy's gonna have a bad series. I just don't think he's going to play all 3 games. I think they really are gonna try to put Stan in the outfield to get Donaldson some more at bats. Because for the love of God, the Yankees are just obsessed with Josh Donaldson. So that I'm telling you, Stan's gonna end up playing the outfield at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, let him play the outfield in the biggest outfield in baseball. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying that sounds really smart, though.
All right, our last one. Listen closely, fellas. It's a choose 'em, not an over and under, but a choose 'em. So Lindor, V, you love to talk about his
Over.
defense. I would just like to reiterate, it is not an over or under. Lindor has 194 assists defensively. Jack Anthony Volpe has 163. So my question to you guys, you have to pick one. We are going to go who has more assists in Lindor's 3 lowest games of the series. So we're going to rule out his highest game since he's playing a 4-game series. And I'm also going to give Volpe 2. So Lindor's 3 worst or Volpe plus 2?
Jack, you can start first.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go with Volpe.
Oh man, I don't want to agree with you, but it's just like Lindor's at disadvantage here. He has 2 disadvantages in this one.
It's a little bit handicapped.
Because I mean, in a 4-game series, there could be a. I'm just gonna go with Lindor, just because I like to have fun. I'm a gambling man. Volpe's gonna make a couple more errors.
You know my favorite thing about this is you guys start with straight logic. Like the first 2 are just logical. You're okay with agreeing with each other. Once you two see that you're in agreement, you just can't do it anymore. It doesn't matter what line.
Go to our sides.
Whatever the first guy answers, the second guy's answering the other thing. So that's excellent. Well, hey, fellas, that pretty much wraps it up. I think I might have to throw another game at you on Thursday. I'll get brainstorming, but really got to put it to the challenge. So all I will say is study up on your history because we're going to keep going back. All right.
Love it.
That being said, that wraps up our segments. Shall we get into a quick preview of these upcoming series?
We shall.
All right, Vu, I'll let you start. You got a 4-game series coming up in Citi Field against the Brewers.
We got a
What do you
4
think?
games. We got a 4-game series coming up against the Brewers in Citi Field, as David just said. Just wanted to say it again for fun. And Verlander on the mound. To start the series, you want to see him pitch well. I mean, the Mets got to win 3 or 4. I mean, Mets got to win 3 or 4. Brewers are not playing good at all. Mets got to win. I'm looking for the pitching to do well and offense to stay kind of what they did the past 2 series. If that happens, the Mets are going to win 3 out of 4 easily. So that's all I got. That's all I'm saying.
All right, Jack, we got the Yankees coming up with a 3-game series in Oakland. You really think they got to just carry some momentum here in this one, but what are you looking for?
Guys, my thoughts here, Yankees, A's, we just got to keep it rolling. Got to keep it rolling, hopefully get some guys going offensively, maybe a good series from Stanton or Mayhew. If we can get Donaldson going, that would be huge, even though I'm kind of tired of him. Yeah, I would like to score some runs. I would like to at least take 2 out of 3, if not sweep them. Yeah, but I mean, the A's, you got to respect them. They won some games against the Rays. They're not the worst team in baseball anymore, I don't think. I think that's the Royals now. So, yeah, we just got to keep it going. Let's go.
All right, fellas. Well, I think that was a great 30th episode. Kudos to the BQB bros here. We're doing great. We're doing big things. V, we are 30 episodes in, and there's still plenty of people who don't follow us on Instagram. So please tell them where they can follow us.
Listen, it's bonkers because they got to just do this. Type in BQB podcast, and you're gonna see all the great content.
It's as easy as that. And Jack, on the talk, can they do the same thing?
Yep, BQB podcast on the talk. Check us out. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube, and just help us grow, guys. Leave us a comment. Check us out.
DM me.
Exactly. He just wants you in his DMs so bad. But the weirdest part is we all get the DMs, so that could get a little interesting. That's all right. We'll let V do his thing. You can find us on Twitter too, if you want to follow us over there, interact with us. We are always tweeting out good, bad, average opinions, all of that stuff. So it's definitely worth the follow. And you can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, iHeartRadio, Amazon, all of the above. Feel free. And if you like us, go find the richest person you know and tell them to watch us, because V knows one rich guy and Jack says we haven't heard from him in a long time, so maybe it's time for them to check us out. That being said, catch you guys next time.